Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. We are so happy that you are joining us today. So, my name is Emily Davidson. I am the Enterprise Marketing Director here at Sandler. We are so thrilled that you've decided to join us for our webinar this afternoon, which is the Taste of Victory, where we'll be joined by our EVP of Enterprise Sales, Michael Norton. He'll be talking to us about how to really finish strong and start next year even stronger. So before we get started here in the next few minutes, I did just want to give you guys an update on our exciting summit that takes place every year in the spring. So Summit 2025, that will be taking place April 1st through April 3rd next year. So we'll be sure to get you guys the link to the registration page. Make sure that you guys have a chance to check that out and reserve your spots. You don't want to miss this upcoming event next year. It will be really, really exciting for you, for your business, some insights you can take back to your team. So again, this is just the 6-minute warning here before we get started. We'll get going here at the top of the hour, and we'll see you back here in just a few. Welcome in, everyone. I still see a bunch of people starting to join us. If you have just jumped on, my name is Emily Davidson, the Enterprise Marketing Director here at Sandler. We're so happy that you have all joined us here for our webinar this afternoon. So is my puppy. So we will get started here in about 3 minutes, and we will go ahead and turn it over to Michael Norton, who is the Enterprise Vice President of Sales. So we'll get started here in about 3 minutes now, and we'll be back here shortly. Alrighty, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Emily Davidson. I am the Enterprise Marketing Director here at Sandler, and I'm super excited to introduce our speaker for today's webinar, who's going to really talk about the taste of victory, what it means to set yourself up for success going into 2025, but also finish this year strong. I'm super excited to introduce my colleague and one of my mentors, Michael Norton.
Emily, thank you so much. It's always so great to do these events with you. You're such a wonderful host, and I appreciate the introduction. And good afternoon, everybody. If you're here in the afternoon time zone, if you're on the West Coast, it might still be morning, and wherever you're joining us from, I welcome you. And yeah, the title of this talk real quick is going to be The Taste of Victory. But we are going to talk about how do we finish this year strong and how do we start next year even stronger. But what I'd love for you to think about first, and why I titled it The Taste of Victory, is just get in your mind, maybe it's that first sale that you ever made as a salesperson, right? What did that feel like when you first closed that first piece of business, or you made your first month or your first quarter? What did it feel like for you when you actually made your quota at the end of the year, right? How did that feel? And if you're a sales manager or sales leader, what was it like for you when you first got into the business and took over a team and you made your first quarter or you made your first year? Put it in the chat if you want. I would love to see some of those words. You know, what I've heard from talking with different people is, a sense of achievement, excited, thrilled. It was wonderful. It was awesome, right? There's that certain feeling we get. And I'd love for you to go into this presentation. We're going to spend about 25 minutes together, just really thinking about what that taste of victory is and being excited about what we have in store for us for the rest of the year. Now, I will share with you, I wrote about this in a column that came out last week. And I did get some feedback from people sending me messages and emails saying, hey, it's time, it's the holidays, are you Scrooge? What do you want us to work through Christmas? And I'm like, no, it's not. I don't want you to work on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or New Year's Eve or New Year's Day unless there's, some reason you have to. But I want you to realize there are still useful days, hours, and even minutes that you can take advantage of to finish this year strong and start even stronger and to be excited about it. Here we are in football season, right? So getting ready towards the end of the season, playoffs are going to be coming up. I want you to be as excited as, did you catch the winning touchdown? Did you score the winning touchdown? Go for a big run? Did you make that tackle that saved the game, recover a fumble, make an interception? But your team won. How excited would you be? So let's talk about that. But before we get into talking about how excited we are, I want to say let's avoid this pitfall. We've all been here. We've all heard this, right? Sometimes I want you to avoid the hibernating bear syndrome. Here we are on December 11th. Great day to be selling. But some people start to relax. We get into that mode where we convince ourselves nobody wants to talk to us in the next couple of weeks. Or we convince ourselves, yeah, we're just going to get after it after the holiday season. So what does that mean? It means we actually stop selling. And there are plenty of selling days and hours and minutes ahead of us before we get into the new year. Now, I don't think this is anybody on this call, certainly not. But you may know people like this, or if you're a sales manager, you may have heard some of these excuses because we know what happens. Here we are in December of 2024, and we'll hear from different people, again, nobody on this call. Hey, you know what? It's the holidays. We just got past Thanksgiving. Christmas is coming up. Then it's the new year. I'm just going to wait until New Year, and then I'm going to reach out to them. And then the new year comes, January comes, and we say to ourselves, well, you know what? They're digging out from email. It's just past the holidays. I'm going to give them a little bit more time before I reach out. And before we know it, March is here, and they're like, hey, you know what? My prospects, my customers, they're on spring break. I'm going on spring break. I'll get after it after March. And before we know it, we're into the summer season, and the excuse is, people are on vacation. They're not going to talk to me. It's not a good time. I'll get after it in the fall. And then September comes and we say, well, you know what? They're digging out again from their summer vacation. They're just getting back. Their kids are going back to school. My kids are going back to school. There's after school activities and sports. I'll just give them a little time. And what happens? We're right back in to November and Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, the New Year, whatever we're celebrating. And we can excuse our way out of it. And that's why when you work with any of your Sandler trainers, we've got some awesome trainers and coaches. You're probably here because of most of them. But we have the Sandler Success Triangle. And what I'm really talking about here are the top two. behaviors, and attitudes. There's no reason we should look at any season of the year and say this is not a great time to be selling, prospecting, planning, or learning. So we want to do the behaviors. But what I'm really talking about on this slide is the mindset, the seller's mindset, because our mind plays tricks on us. We can talk ourselves out of picking up the phone or stopping in to see a prospect for any number of reasons. So I would ask you to stay excited, remember that taste of victory, and get after these last few weeks, not only to win business, because I think there's business to be won, but to set yourself up for the future in January and greater success. So let's move on. Again, the holiday seasons are coming up. Whatever you're celebrating, there's going to be gift giving everywhere. Let's get that excitement, like the excitement of a child. If you've ever seen them truly excited and happy, how do we gain that same excitement back for us as professional sellers? So let's get into it. Let's get into the content. So what I want to share with you today are 3 primary thoughts where we can finish strong and start stronger, right? And I'm going to give you 3 options here. The first one is just get your head around selling, selling, selling. We end every internal call on my team with, hey, let's go sell somebody something. This past year for 2024, we had a theme, and it was from the television show The Bear. And if any of you have watched it, you know one of the key themes in there was that every second counts. And I'm sharing with you that every second counts. So if this is where you find yourself in the sell, sell, sell mode, there are still days, hours, minutes to be taking advantage of that. But maybe you'll fall into this bucket where you can still do some selling, but maybe you sell large, complex opportunities. There really is nothing else you can get out of the year from a selling perspective, but you can certainly plan for what next year looks like. You could look back on 2024 and say, man, what did I do really, really well? What do I want to repeat? What should I start doing, stop doing, do differently, do more of, do less of? I could be scheduling calls with my customers, my prospects, getting ahead of it so that when 2025 comes, I'm not then trying to fill my calendar with appointments, right? And here's this last one I'll share just a little bit about learning. What can you learn between now and the end of the year and then start your year even stronger? Because over the last month, as getting ready to write that column that came out last week, I kind of did some straw man polling, talked to different salespeople, both in text, on the phone, direct messages on LinkedIn. And I said, hey, how are you using this time between Thanksgiving and the new year? And I got a lot of that, hey, I'm going to relax, spend time with family. I can't really sell anymore. It's not the type of business I'm in. And I asked this one question of everybody. Well, what do you plan on learning between now and the end of the year? Is there a book sitting on your nightstand that you have always been meaning to start and haven't? Is there a book on your bookshelf? Is there a book that you've downloaded to a device? Is there a podcast that you've always wanted to get into, or a blog that you've wanted to follow, right? What can you learn over these next few, if you start the habit now, or these next 20 days between now and the end of the year, what can you learn? But what I want to share with you today, where I'll take the rest of the content, is, to me, as you look at the rest of the year, how do we make sure we're focusing on the right opportunities and have a really healthy, strong, and balanced sales funnel? How do we win deals of all sizes and position ourselves to win deals of all sizes, right? How do we have that confidence and not just get stuck in the smaller opportunities? That's, again, mindset. And then finishing with, let's finish this year with a winner's attitude. Let's expect to win, not just now as we close out the month. If it's the end of your fiscal year, how do we close out the year or quarter? How do we win, see ourselves winning in 2025? So let's get into the balanced funnel. 3 keys, if you really think about your healthy and balanced sales funnel, that I want to focus on here with you today. And I'll hit these fairly quickly. But we want to have diversification of all of our stages, whether we have 3 stages, 5 stages, 6 stages, 8 stages in our sales process. We have to have diversification. Too many times when we're looking at sales funnels and we're looking into them, we see a disparity between and you can see where a salesperson's spending most of their time. So we'll talk about that. This one's really huge. Again, your Sandler trainers, your Sandler coaches, the trainers from our enterprise team, we talk a lot about qualifying and disqualifying. And I'll just, again, underscore that here as a gift for you during the gift giving season. You want to be rigorous in your qualification and disqualification of opportunities. And we'll talk about that. And then lastly, How do we finish this year with potency? How do we start our year with potency? What are some of the consistent activities we have to put into our cookbook that we could be doing now, building those muscles now, and carrying them into 2025? And many of you right now are probably doing a great job on your cookbook, but maybe you'll hear one or two things in here as I talk about the activities you can be doing that you might be able to pick up on. So let's talk about the funnel, a healthy and balanced sales funnel. And you'll see two images here, and I'll draw your attention to the circle on the right first. And if we look at this, you'll see those four words: quality, staged, balanced, and weighted. Obviously quality, and I know I'm speaking for any sales leader, any leader who's on the call, to our sales folks who are out there today. And many of you sales folks do a great job of this already, but you have to have good quality leads in the funnel. I'm asking you on behalf of everybody here, get the fluff out of the funnel. Nobody wants quantity over quality. We want to know that the deals we're working on have a real chance of closing. No today doesn't mean no tomorrow, right? But we do want to disqualify them. And staged, do you have your exit criteria for yourself and your buyer, right? For moving from one stage to another in your sales process. It's got to be balanced, as I said, diversification across that. And you have to look at the weighting. Where are you in it? Do you have a 10% chance of close, or a 60% chance of close, 80% chance of close? And making sure you're working with your leader, your manager, or manager working with your salespeople around that one, and which will be the very next slide. But now I want to take your attention to the other graphic on the other side of the page. This is where the rubber really meets the road. This is where you can gain traction as a leader with your salesperson, and as a salesperson with your prospects and customers. I would encourage you to look at each one of those: quality, staged, balanced, and weighted, and say, looking at opportunities, you take a specific opportunity, or the top 3 to 5 in your funnel. What are the issues or risks at each one of those in those boxes? What are some ideas I can come up with for moving those or advancing those? What's an action, or what's some questions I can ask my manager? How can I move forward? What are some questions I might need to ask my prospect? And then what are the actions for each one, so we can take it from 10% to 30%, 30 to 60, and so forth. It's a great exercise, especially if you're leading one-on-ones with your sales force. But let's get into the weighted piece. So this is Sandler for my enterprise team. This is the way we look at our funnel. So if it comes as identified, it may have a 10% or 0% chance, all the way down to closed 1. And especially here now at the end of the year, or at the end of any quarter, what we'll see sometimes in an unhealthy funnel is that all the attention is put on the later stage, the 60%, 80%, 100%. And we want to close every bit of business that's in there, but we do that at the peril of not continuing to fill our funnel and prospect. It's so important that we don't just get wrapped up in getting deals across the finish line, but we're always doing what we need to do to make sure that we're networking, asking for referrals, sending out our sequences to fill that top end of the funnel. And another thing, when you look at this, if you show me a very frustrated sales leader, sales manager, or salesperson, I'm going to show you somebody with a very, very weak funnel. So as you go through this, as you start to knock those deals down and win those deals, you don't want to be starting all over again the very next month, the very next quarter, or the very next year. So what can you be doing now, even though you can't, you feel like you might not be able to close any more business in your funnel based on the type of business that you have? You can be doing this. And this is my favorite slide in this presentation I'm doing for you. And this is something, if you're going to screen grab or screenshot something from today, or you're going to remember something from this presentation, this is so helpful. So just the first one again: prospect, prospect, prospect. You do not have to like prospecting, but we have to do it. And whatever that means in your business and how you go about doing it, just always consistently do the behavior. It's not that we have to prospect. We should be looking as we get to prospect. We get to enjoy the benefits of prospecting as that fills our funnel. The second part, the middle part, is absolutely my favorite part of this slide, is pruning. Go in, and as I said earlier, no today doesn't mean no tomorrow. And Sandler, what we talk about here is, how do we close the file? No today doesn't mean no tomorrow, but it means they're not going to take and occupy time in our daily activities, our monthly activities. What can we prune out of our funnel so that we're putting all of our focus on those opportunities that can close? And this last one, when we talk to people at Sandler, and we talk about key performance indicators. And some of the things that all of you are trying to do as sellers and sales leaders is, increase deal velocity or improve deal velocity. Well, how do we make sure we're doing the activities? How do we make sure that we're constantly moving things through the funnel and we're progressing those opportunities? Again, all of our Sandler coaches, trainers, anybody who's invited you to participate here, if you want to learn more, reach out to them. If you want to learn more, reach out to me and my team. But this one is one that you're going to want to get some coaching around to help you finish strong and really position yourself for a much stronger start in 2025. So here's the qualification part. And if you know Sandler, if you're here because of Sandler, you know this. The qualifying is really the hallmark of who Sandler is, that dark blue piece in that circle. And let's just go through it real quickly. We're all familiar with pain and the pain funnel. A lot of times that we're talking with customers these days, especially over the last year and a half, we're also hearing pain and gain. And we've always talked about pain and gain, but we know emotionally people would rather pay for something. They have a bigger fear of loss and a bigger fear of not solving a problem than they do of the potential win or gain. But we're hearing a lot more from people saying, yeah, really, we're doing really, really great. We're here. We're doing great. We just want to outpace our competition. There's a lot to be gained, right? So it's not just identifying a problem, it's identifying the opportunity. And not just stopping there. It's what is the reason for the pain? What's the reason you're trying to gain? What is the real win in here? And what's the true impact on your business? Because here's what I'll share with you. Qualification is awesome. Qualifying is disqualifying. One of the greatest things we can do for our sellers and as a team and even for our prospects and customers. But qualification without quantification is meaningless. If we're just going after the pain and the gain and we don't share with them what this means, we can never get to a return on investment conversation, which then leads us into the investment. So how do we make sure we're talking about money? Because we know people buy emotionally, they rationalize intellectually. We know this. And in our business, and I'm sure in many of your businesses, because we talk to you a lot of times, you're trying to create that gain opportunity or that pain. You're trying to bring awareness to the pain. And in a lot of cases, when we're talking with people, they haven't budgeted for what they're trying to buy. It's not in the budget, right? We've all been there when we're talking and we meet a prospect and we get to that certain point and they're like, this isn't budgeted. So how do we help them find the budget in order to fix the pain or achieve the gain, the opportunity? And the only way to do that is to get really, really good at quantifying the true value for your prospects and customers, which then leads us into the decision. We know the buying jury that's out there, right? You could have 2 to 3 people making the decision. You might have 5 to 6 or 8. Gartner said there was 14 or more. I can share with you that 2 weeks ago we were in a presentation with a prospect, and there were 2 people in the room. There was 14 more on Zoom, so there were 16 people, either influencers, champions, key decision makers, ultimate decision makers, right? So it was a committee. How do we know who our influencers, champions, and ultimate decision makers are? But more importantly, or equally as important, who are our blockers? Who's got another horse in the race that they're championing? And how do we differentiate ourselves? And I'll go right back to the pain gain. It's that quantification of value that we're bringing. And when we do send a proposal or an agreement, completely understanding who's going to see it, who's going to touch it, what's going to happen next, and what are those expectations. Because when we get good at this, the impact here is huge. When you're focused only on those truly qualified opportunities, your forecasting accuracy is going to go through the roof. Your deal velocity is going to progress even faster. Your win rates, if you're right now winning 2 out of 5, what would it feel like to win 3 out of 5? If you're winning 3 out of 10, what if we start winning 4 out of 10? Your win rates will go up. You're focused on the real opportunities that matter. And when you're doing the quantification piece properly and focusing on their return on investment, you can hold price. So you sell on value, not on price. By doing this, our average deal sizes go up. And what we hear from a lot of people is that deals have been slipping quarter to quarter, or they're losing to no decision. They're staying with the status quo. Well, when you get really good at this step, this qualifying step, you're going to minimize the opportunities where that happens. So we've talked about the balanced funnel. We've talked about qualifying and disqualifying. Let's get into the consistent activity and follow-up and the potency that you could be doing, again, now between here we are, December 11th and December 31st, and maybe carry some of this in. What would it mean to your business if every single day between now, working day, between now and the end of the year, you made one more call right before you're about to shut down your computer, shut down for the day, what if there's one more person you could call? What if there's one more email that you could send just before the end of the day? I'm just going to send one more email. And this one, we all know the fastest way to grow our business is ask for referrals. A lot of us don't do it as regularly as we should, as consistently as we should. But what about between now and the end of the year? Every day, you just pick up the phone and ask for another referral. What if you send one more text? And I'll give you this one. In my position as the EVP of the enterprise team, I work with a lot of the executives for our customers and our prospects. And they would prefer when I'm communicating with them, they've given me their cell phones. They would rather get a text from me because they can answer me really quickly than an email. If texting isn't part of your repertoire, I would highly recommend that you make it part of it. And if you have those numbers today, what if you could send a text? One more, just one more day. You're maybe already doing the number you think you should, but just one more. What if you did one more follow-up? Just one more follow-up. One more new behavior. Maybe it's now you haven't been texting and that new behavior is I'm going to text. Or maybe that new behavior is, you know what, I'm going to ask for a referral. One new attitude. Maybe the attitude is you're going to develop a better money concept or a better equal business stature. You're going to work on that for yourself. One new technique, one new skill. Maybe it's a questioning strategy, right? Maybe it's a prospecting strategy. What's one new technique you can work on? Remember I said earlier, sell, plan and schedule, or learn something. What's one new technique you'd be willing to learn? And what if there's one new question that you could add to your sales process or your discovery questions, or when you're working with a prospect and you're getting towards the end, what's one new question that you haven't been asking? Again, here it is, a season of giving, and I'll give you this one. I'm going to give you a question to ask of any prospect or customer, especially when there's a really difficult question that you know you need to ask or you want to ask, whatever it's about. You know the questions I'm talking about, where your hands get clammy and sweaty and your stomach gets full of knots and you have anxiousness, you don't even know how to ask the question. Well, here's the question I would encourage you to ask. If Emily, who is a wonderful hostess here, and she was my prospect, I would lean in and I would say, Emily, could I ask you a hard question? 100% of the time, Emily and your prospects and customers will say yes. They may caveat it and say, yeah, you can ask me anything you want. I'm not sure I'll be able to answer it. But 100% of the time, they will say yes, because you piqued their interest. They want to know what the question is. They want to know what that hard question is. And if you were to do this, just any combination of these, just that power of plus one more thing, I guarantee you'll find one new customer or at least one new prospect. And that's great. That's general. So what does that really mean to me in my business? Well, what would one new prospect mean, or one new customer? Would it help you with your quota attainment? Would it help you with your commission or your bonus, regardless of, I don't know how you're compensated, but would that help if you had one new customer? Do you have a quota for net new logo acquisition? Is there a chance by doing any of these power of plus one where you can go a little higher, wider, and deeper and have an upsell or cross-sell opportunity? And if nothing else, of winning a business, can you now, between now and the end of the year, how many more meetings would you be able to set up going forward? Right? So, here's what I'll give you a gift to give yourself. This is the last part of, winning deals of all sizes. Sometimes we just focus on those smaller gifts, small transaction opportunities. Sometimes we'll go a little higher, and sometimes we will sell bigger ones. But the value you bring to yourself and to your customers by being able to sell bigger opportunities is really important. And what does that mean? It means, going from small, medium, large to extra large, stronger relationships, better at upselling and cross-selling. And we can go get better at going higher, wider, and deeper when people are willing to introduce us to other people in their organization, other people in their network, other departments or regions of their business. It means we've established trust. Right, so you might be in the software business and you're used to selling 3 to 5 seat deals. Well, what if you just mentally had that mindset? You know what? I could sell probably 10 to 20 seat deals. And then what if you had a mindset of, well, I might be able to sell 20 to 50 seat deals. What if I could sell enterprise? What if I'm selling 100 seat, 500 seat, a couple thousand seat deals? Where's that shift in your mind? Are you limiting yourself to only that because the transaction to sell something small goes easier and you don't have that long sales cycle where there's more at risk, but there's so much more to gain. So I would encourage you to look through your sales lens at looking at deals that are small, medium, large, and even extra large. Just change that mindset a little bit. And again, when we're talking about a balanced funnel, having those deals throughout your funnel, it mitigates the risk for you, where if you're only focused on very large and extra large deals and you don't fill it with the medium-sized deals and smaller deals, you could be at risk there too. So you want to have it really well balanced. As we get ready to wrap this up, just, my old boss, Zig Ziglar, Dennis Waitley, other, motivational speakers and authors, they've all said it in different ways, but we have to plan to win, prepare to win, and then and only then can we expect to win. And our job here at Sandler is to help you win, win again, and keep winning and win more often. So you versus your competition going forward, right? Your competition, I can promise you, is not a hibernating bear. Don't assume that they're looking to use up their PTO days. Don't assume they're just out holiday shopping, just winding the year down. Don't assume that they're just they're wondering why they didn't hit quota. No, they're after it. They're trying to catch up. Don't assume they've gone into hibernation mode, right? They're coming after you. They're coming after the business in your patch, in your territory. So they may think of this as a verb where they plan to win, or a statement: plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. But what I want to share with you is what they're really thinking and doing right now is they're trying to finish strong and close stronger, close the year stronger and start stronger. They're getting creative to pull in their deals. They may be willing to discount their deals. They are going for quota attainment. You've got to be ready for that. They're doing the last minute activities, maybe not the power of one, but they're going to do some last minute activities to try to bring business in. And they are trying to fill their Q1 funnel too. But what's different for you? What are you doing and thinking? You're working on your balanced funnel. You're leveraging those power plus one power behaviors. You're gaining confidence to go after bigger deals and close bigger deals. You're going to build value so you can sell on value, not on price, to bring in those deals before the end of the year. You're filling your calendar every day now for early January, mid-January, maybe even into February. And you're reviewing and learning what you did so well this past year that you can replicate in the year ahead, so you can finish strong and start stronger and have another great year in 2025. And I want you to really celebrate the year you had, especially if it was a great year. Celebrate your wins. Even if you didn't make your number all the way, but you had some wins in there, celebrate those wins and already put in your head. It's not a statement. Turn it into an action and a verb. You're planning to win, you're preparing to win, and you're expecting to win. So here's your 3 buckets. Here's where we started. You could have picked any one. There's still 20 days of activity between now and the end of the year. And then we're into the new year already. It'll be here before you know it, folks. So there are things that we can do. And I just encourage you, and I hope you took something from this, and that we can say, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. It's been a great time with you here today. If you'd like to reach out to me, my name's Michael Norton again, michael.norton@sandler.com. Any questions, find me on LinkedIn, and thanks for the time today.
Thank you so much, Michael. I love what you said about really celebrating those wins that you did have this year, because I think everyone here who attended today does have wins they can celebrate, and also, use some of them to motivate them as they go into the new year. I did have one question come through from one of my past colleagues that I did want to ask you real quick.
Sure.
So she was saying to me that with so many of her prospects starting to go out of office for the holidays, is it better to push for a meeting before Christmas, or is it better to let those meetings take place organically in January?
Well, I think it goes either way, and it's probably situational. At a minimum, reaching out via text, like I said, and finding out, and maybe asking them, hey, is this something that we think we can maybe talk about now before you leave for the Christmas holiday, and we can get something on the calendar, or set it up so you're asking them a question that you need to ask before the holiday. But here's the other thing, folks, that you need to think about is we are coming up to the holidays, and how many of us give a bottle of wine, or we send a gift card, or we're doing something nice for our prospects and customers? What about a text that's really genuine and talks about how much you appreciate them and where they've been? And nobody will dismiss that text or an email like that before the holiday season. It might open up a conversation for you.
I couldn't agree more. I think that really means, building those relationships. And it really is a genuine wish for the holidays. But like you said, I agree. I think those situational circumstances you can kind of judge on. But I think, you just be authentic and ask the question and let it kind of see where it goes. Because I think you're right. It will definitely help as they not only think about finishing this year, but think about how they set themselves up for success going into next year.
Yeah, and I would just say, have to know that balance between you're being pushy and aggressive because nobody wants that. But don't be timid because
Right.
your competition is not going to be timid. Do it in a very professional and respectful way, because we know this too. Timid salespeople have skinny children, right? Timid salespeople have skinny children. If you're afraid, you're not going to win the business. Your competition might. So don't be timid, but don't be aggressive and pushy.
For sure. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you, Michael. This was truly a pleasure to have you with us here today and talking about something that resonates with all of us. And on behalf of Sandler, we do want to wish you all happy holidays. Again, just a shout out for the upcoming 2025 Sandler Summit that will be in Orlando in April. You can check out the link there at the bottom of your screens to get your spots reserved. And you can keep an eye out as well. Tomorrow, we will have the recording available to you on demand. And we will be sending you just another present, as Michael said, for the next year. So thinking about how do you kick off next year in the right way, we're sending you your very own 2025 SKO checklist. So keep an eye out for that in your emails. Thank you again so much for being here with us today. Thank you, Michael. It has been a pleasure, and happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Emily.